Me doing 2 book reviews in 1 month? What? Today I am going to be reviewing the sequel to The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King by Holly Black. I finished this book Monday night and oh my god, you should have seen me reading the last like 20 pages because I was so shook. I really can't say much for The Wicked King because that will spoil you if you haven't read this book yet. So if you haven't checked out The Wicked King or The Cruel Prince yet, please go do so because these are like my new favorite books. I love that I decided to read these, but at the same time I also hate that I decided to read these because they've ruined my life, but overall I love it. But I have a review on the first book, The Cruel Prince, if you want to check it out and learn more about these books. But if you have not read The Wicked King yet and you don't want to be spoiled, I will leave right now because I'm about to spoil so much and you do not want to be spoiled for this book, so goodbye! Alrighty, so The Wicked King. I don't even know what to say! There are a lot of things I could talk about this book, but I don't want to because that will take forever. So I'm going to talk about what really mattered to me while reading this book. First, let's talk about Jude and Cardan, because when I finished The Cruel Prince, I was like, oh my god, I'm really obsessed with Jude and Cardan and I want more moments between the two of them in the next book, and I was not let down! Jude and Cardan's relationship in this book goes a whole nother level, and I was not ready for it at all. So reading their scenes was like giving me so many feelings. It's so interesting how their relationship is in this book because, you know, they say that, oh, I hate you, like, I want to like hurt you and all this stuff, but you can tell that there is something more between the two of them, especially with Jude. Like there's one point where she's like, you know, maybe I don't need to be afraid to love him, like maybe it would be okay. And it's just so interesting to see how far they've come because they despised each other in the first book and they still do. My favorite Jude and Cardan scene was obviously chapter 15 because that scene, it reminded me so much of like in rom-coms where two people are like making out and they're like, this is a terrible idea, but then they keep doing it anyway, and that's basically what happens with Jude and Cardan. They start making out and then things happen. But I really like that scene, not just because of the sex, but just because that's the first time where Jude really admits that she feels something more for Cardan. Like she's telling him that she hates him, but then she's like, this kind of goes against what I feel, and I was like, oh my god. And with Cardan, you know, it's kind of harder to tell with him if he feels something for Jude, just because we don't read from his point of view, so we don't know what's going on in his mind, and also he's just not a open person. But you can really tell in this book that he does feel something for her, especially with his actions when he gets Jude back from the sea because she was kidnapped. And oh my god, I hated that, by the way. Let me just talk about the sea now just for a quick second because oh my god, I knew while reading the first book that, you know, the Queen of the Sea and everything was like gonna play a part in the second book because like they mentioned her enough times that I was like, alright, you have to be important and you're probably gonna screw everything in the next book, which basically that's what happens. But I was not, what surprised me the most about this whole sea situation is when the ghost revealed that he was working for them. I loved the ghost, okay? He was a part of the Court of Shadows squad and he seemed really nice and cool, so I really liked him. But then Mikasa told Jude that someone had betrayed her already, and I for the life of me could not figure out who it was. So when it was revealed that it was the ghost who had betrayed her, I was really affected by it. I was like, are you serious right now? And I know the ghost isn't working for the sea Like, I get that, but the fact that he, you know, helped them kidnap Jude, I was betrayed by it. I could not believe it at all. And the sea is so messed up. Like, the Queen Orla? I don't know how to say her name, but she can go choke. I hate her. But Cardan made a deal with the Queen to get Jude back, and that's how he showed that he feels something more for Jude, by making that deal. Because, like, he easily could have left her to die in the sea and be there forever. So the fact that he went out of his way to, like, get her back, I mean, that obviously means something. And he also shows that he feels something for her at the end, which I'm not going to talk about this first because so many things happen in the end that I need to go in order, starting with Balkan's murder. I hate Balkan, so obviously I was in favor of him dying, and I'm so glad that Jude murdered him. And how I love how, you know, she went to him to, like, give him the crown, and he was gonna give her the antidote for Cardan because he was poisoned, and how she, like, had the poison in her, and then she took the antidote to see if it worked, and then she spit it out and threw it to the bomb, and then she still had the crown. Like, it was so amazing. And then Jude murdered Balkan, and I was like, oh my god, thank you. Like, that was so awesome because Balkan needed to die. He did not need to be king. He's a terrible person, and I'm so glad he's dead. But then Jude goes back to Cardan, who is, you know, recovering from the poison he just had in his system, and they're talking, and he is trying to get out of this bargain he made with Jude about being controlled for a year and a day, and she's like, you know, why would I do that? And then he asks her to marry him. I was not prepared for a marriage proposal, so when Cardan brought it up, I was like, this is a joke, right? And then, like, Jude kind of reacted the same way I did, and he was like, nope, and I was like, oh my god! And this is how Cardan shows that he feels something more for Jude by proposing, because I know he wanted to get out of the deal, but, like, I mean, he probably could have thought of another way that wasn't getting married to her, so I mean, there has to be something there. But Jude and Cardan get married, and they say their vows, and Cardan puts the ring that he stole from her on a ring finger, and it was just like, it was all so weird because, like, I couldn't believe it was happening, but at the same time I thought it was so lovely. And Jude does release Cardan from his bond, so he's free, but on their first day of marriage, being free from her causes a lot of trouble. Cardan meets up with the Queen of the Sea, and it's basically like, hey, you think I'm not powerful or strong? Well, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And he rises a land from the sea, and it was so insane, and he does it, and he's like, there you go, I am strong. The Queen is obviously very angry about this, and she's even more mad because Cardan traps her daughter Nakasa in, like, a tree. She's like, let my daughter go. And she's also angry because Balkan, I forgot to mention this, but Balkan was the sea ambassador, and, you know, he was murdered by Jude. So the Queen throughout all of this is like, I demand justice, like, my ambassador was murdered and I need justice. And Cardan's like, well, you know, your daughter can come to the land and she can be the new ambassador. It'll be all good. And then he turns over to Jude and it's like, hey, did you murder my brother? You know, I really wanted Jude to lie about it because humans can lie and Fae people, like, couldn't tell, but she doesn't deny it, and because of that, Cardan's just like, so yeah, because of that, I'm gonna exile you to the mortal world. I knew that Cardan did something bad at the end of this book because a lot of people online were talking about how mad they were at Cardan at the very end, but I didn't know what it was. And never in a million years did I think it was gonna be him exiling Jude back to the mortal world. His wife, Jude, is obviously taken aback by what he has said, and she's suddenly being taken away by these guards, and she's like, oh my god, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then she goes, I'm the Queen of Fairy, and everyone starts laughing. I know Jude is crazy and she's murdered a bunch of people and she's power hungry, but at the same time, I feel so bad for her because she's human, and because of that, she's been treated terribly in the fairy world, and a lot of crazy stuff happens to her in this book, like with the end, and then Locke, her brother-in-law, tried to murder her at his bachelor party. Like, just so much insane stuff happens to her, and like, she honestly doesn't deserve it. My girl is definitely getting back to fairy in the next book, because if she doesn't, like, I swear to God, I'm gonna be so upset, because she needs to get revenge on these people, especially Cardan. I definitely think Cardan should get punished somehow for what he did to Jude, his own wife, because what he did was so wrong and it made me very angry. I'm very upset about it, but there is a small hopeful part of me that's like, maybe Cardan exiled her because he wanted to protect her. I just think that maybe he did what he did because he might go to war with the sea and he didn't want her to be a part of that, this one good thing that he's had in his life. So maybe he sent her away to do that, but like, I feel like he would have told her, but I don't know. I just like really hope it wasn't because he just wanted to get rid of her. I really don't know what to expect for Jude and Cardan in the next book. There's definitely gonna be some anger because we know Jude, she will murder someone if she has to. But I think that's all I have to say for The Wicked King. Overall, I loved this book. It was a wild mess, but I just enjoyed every second of it. Thank you all so much for watching this book review. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I am Courtney, and I'll see you all next time with a new video soon, so I will see you then, so bye!